Hello everyone, I hope you are well. I am just back from a lovely trip to Palma. It was so lovely to be in a different place. It was a really lovely trip actually. Had a really good time and it was just nice to just be somewhere different and just be with friends and stuff. It was really good. I really enjoyed it and it was just one of those things that I think I needed. I needed a good friendship trip. And I always find that they either really make a friendship or they break a friendship with some trips, and that trip definitely made friendships. So it was really good. I've definitely missed talking on the pod because I have to record a couple episodes sooner because I had such a busy week. So we're now back to normality, which is nice. But whilst we were away, obviously, we were taking lots of content and chatting about all sorts of things and getting lots of pictures. And I actually wasn't on my phone that much. I actually ended up being quite off my phone, which is weird because with the job I do, I naturally do just go on my phone. And as someone who is a content creator, content is at the forefront of my mind a lot of the time. And taking pictures and showcasing my life and what I'm up to is a forefront of my mind always. And it actually got me thinking about social media and how we believe a lot of what is going on social media. Because naturally, social media is a highlight reel and it always has been. It's never been something that we share all the lows and all the highs. It's always been the highlights. And I think that's something that a lot of us forget, but also the way in which social media has changed over the years also leads us to believe that because someone is living a certain life or showing a certain life, that means that is the life they have. Back in the day when Instagram first came about, when you just post random crap, it would be 1 minute it would be a picture of your feet, in some new shoes you got. The next minute it would be a picture of a scene with a filter on it, or it'd be a picture of your coffee. Do you know what I mean? It'd be so boring, simple things that you just post because it was almost what you're up to. You just snap a quick pic and you post it. And now social media is so much more. There's so many areas to it, first of all, but also there are so many different ways of showing off your life, and it's not necessarily about what you're up to then and there and just posting. And as someone who has been doing social media for a long time, there is definitely a shift over many, many years of how social media is perceived and what we post and what we share. And obviously, I'm only talking about this from someone who has been doing social media and does it as a content creator side. I'm not talking about it in terms of a normal person going on Instagram, because that is not how I see Instagram or social media in general. I do think that there's an array of different people on social media, and there has been for a long time, right? So you've got people that share cars, pictures of cars. You've got people that like to talk about how to grow your business. You've got people that like to do fashion, beauty. Some people like to be a bit more creative with their posts and like to really think about the image. Now, every single person is different, and what they choose to share is personal to them. Everyone is going to share what they want to share. And I think that, you have to understand that just because someone's sharing a beautiful picture of them in a beautiful setting, that you can't just believe that that is the life they live. But there are a lot of people within social media and do social media as a job who showcase a life that is not their life. And there's also a lot of people that don't do that. So it's really hard to gauge. And I think this is why I think social media is something that's such a big topic to talk about, and especially the reality of it and the reality of how someone is showing off their life. One thing I've always said, and I've said this a lot of times, is that just because someone shows their life to be amazing on social media doesn't mean to say that they are not going through things behind the scenes, that they are happy and having the best life behind the scenes, because a lot of the time people aren't. I, for one, have done it before. I mean, granted, I do like to share when I'm feeling low. I think it's important. I do that. I haven't been feeling low in a while, so I haven't shared it. But when I do feel low, I will share it on my stories on Instagram. I'll just be like, I'm not feeling great. And I won't be there trying to prove like my life is good still at the same time. I will stop. I'll stop for a bit. I might post some pictures that I've taken and post the pictures of like outfits and whatnot, but I won't be there on my stories. I won't be there like trying to be something I'm not at that time. And that for me is very, very important. But some people don't do that. Some people will continue to post as if their life is hunky-dory when it's not. I have done it before where I have been feeling really low. This was like over a year ago now. I was in the worst headspace ever, and I was still posting and acting like my life was normal, because to be honest, at that point it was the only thing that was getting me through. My work was the only thing that I was remotely like okay and felt good about. So at that time I was just like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. I was just like, I just need to focus on this. This is one thing that's going to make me happy. And in that time, I guess, yeah, I was maybe showing a bit of a fake life. But with the industry that I work in, with people that know who I was living with or knew people within the situation, they would then, it was just not something I was willing to talk about or be open about. And that is okay. And that's something I think that within social media, you have to be specific with what you want to share and be okay with sharing whatever you want to share. Everyone is only ever going to share the things they want to share, because that is ultimately, you know, it's a form of privacy. You don't want to share everything. You don't have to share everything. I don't share everything. I don't see the point in sharing everything. With someone who works in social media, I do a lot, you know, I share a lot. But there's certain things I don't like to share and certain things I don't really talk about. Like if I was dating someone, you probably wouldn't know about it. I wouldn't talk about it. I might, you know, post the odd story with maybe their like hand in the picture, or, you know, something, or like a foot. Until I was like completely like it was solid, you wouldn't know about it, because I'm not going to share that. Same if I was feeling, you know, going through a situation with someone or a friendship breakup or something like that, I'm not necessarily going to share it. I don't really want to. Sometimes these things knock you quite a lot. I can knock your, you know, your what's the word? Your confidence. And you can feel a little bit crap when you know, don't feel 100% yourself. So you're not going to share everything going on, and that's okay. I try to share as much as I can, but also I don't want to share everything. I really do like to keep part of my life private, and I would say I always have. Even when I had like my ex before, he didn't really like being on social media, and that was fine for me. Like I don't mind that. But I got him in a few stories, and he was in the odd story here and there, because like it didn't matter. It was just a bit of fun, and they were just funny stories. They weren't like, you know, deep stories or anything like that. But yeah, I'm such a like live in the moment person, and that is one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of my life on social media sometimes. If I'm away with friends, or if I'm hanging out with a friend, I'm probably not on my phone. I'm probably in the moment. And it's something that I don't know if a lot of people on social media do this. So this is just me. I'm just being open about it, because I think that maybe it will give you some sort of insight into how I show off my social media. Obviously, everyone is different, but this is just how I see it. When I'm with people, even if they're people that are content creators and stuff like that, I probably am not on my phone that much. I really, really like to be in the moment and enjoy the people around me and take in what they're saying. I don't always think about social media. I know that it's my job, and I know that it's something I do, but it is not at the forefront of my mind. It's there, but it's not the most important thing, because social media is great and I love it and it's amazing and it's such a cool thing to be a part of, and I'm so like grateful that I'm in this like sphere and area of the world. Like it is genuinely, I love doing it. But I've even met people before who show that like their whole life is social media. everything is about the content, the next picture, the next video, it's editing, it's creating. And it's so overwhelming and consuming, not only for someone who posts, but also for someone who's seeing it. And I don't ever want to sit here and be like, oh my God, I do so much, I do this and I do that, blah, 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 I've got all this content. Because reality is you don't end up having a life. And I am at the point in my life where I'm like, I want to enjoy my life, and the social media front of it is just going to be bits that I want to share, and not be like, oh my God, look at me, like I'm doing all these things and I'm so busy and I've created all this content. Because content doesn't, like, don't get me wrong, I create a lot of content and I love my job and I love what I do, but just because you're posting loads of content doesn't make your life any better or any, it doesn't make you necessarily further along in your career. It does a little bit, don't get me wrong. I create a lot of content, but some people take it to the next level, and I even myself get overwhelmed by it. As someone who's a content creator, I look at it and I'm like, there's so much going on. And then as I don't know what it's like for someone who doesn't create content, because you're viewing it from a completely different point of view. And that in itself is quite hard for me to understand. But all I can say in that situation is, if you are feeling overwhelmed by someone, just remember that the amount of content they might be creating is just to their individual and what they're like. I've been on trips before where I felt like I wasn't doing enough, where I felt like my content was rubbish, because there were people who were constantly on it, editing, doing things all the time. And obviously I'm talking about this from a content point of view, so most people wouldn't get to see that. You wouldn't see how a content creator does anything, because everyone's different. Some people would literally snap a picture, post it, and they'll get loads of likes, and other people really think about it. And I think that one thing you do have to pay attention to, and you do have to think about, is who you're following, right? So you might be following all the people you know from school and all those kind of people, but who are you following, and are you following the right people? Because social media can be a daunting place when you look at what people have, what they're doing, how great their life is, how great they perceive their life to be. It can be really hard. It can be really like, oh my God, why am I not living that life? Why am I not getting to do that? Why do I not get that chance? And I can understand it, because if you're seeing influencers post, the stuff they get oh my God, I can't speak, getting gifted all the time. If you're seeing, I don't know, you're seeing them going on holidays all the time, you're seeing all this stuff, it can be a bit like, oh, why can't I do that? I can't afford to do that. And I am incredibly mindful about other people. It's something I always think about, because some of my friends, my sister and whatnot, we don't earn all the same amount of money. There's never a point in life where you're all on the same page. Everyone's at different stages, right? No one's on the same page. So you can't sit there and be, sharing this lavish life and expect everyone to afford it, because they can't. And one thing that's important to me is, when I'm sharing maybe something that's a little bit more luxury and expensive, I'll always, always, always share a cheaper option, because I know that people can't necessarily afford that. And it's kind of hard to sit here and be like, oh my God, look at me, look at my life, when I know that a lot of people can't afford that. And that's just something I always think about. But there's a lot of people within social media and who work in social media who don't think like that, and they will just expect you to be able to afford it. And you only have to look at some of the big influencers to know that all they care about is the amount of money they earn, and sharing things that they can afford, and not actually thinking about a possible cheaper option for someone who wants to maybe look like that and do like things like that, but can't afford the top price. There's so many influencers out there that just focus on their niche audience, which is obviously fine, and it's fine to focus on your niche audience. Everyone has one. Everyone has an audience that works for them. The people that follow me and like my style are not going to be what follow the next person. Everyone is different, as we all know. But one thing I will say from my own point of view is, when I'm shooting content, obviously I like to keep it very natural, very day to day, very me. Like, I would say my content is very me. If you were to meet me, if you were to see me in action. Like, what I'm posting is what I'm wearing. I wear those clothes. They are my favorite clothes. I always wear those things. I'm not wearing clothes just for Instagram and a different person in real life. For me, it's very much important that if I was to ever to meet someone, or you got to know me, you'll see my content, see me and be like, I get it. Like, that to me is really important, because I have met people in the street before. I have met people that have come up to me, and even my friend Tia, we met by her coming up to me and being like, oh, I follow you on Instagram. And she was like, yeah, you're exactly the same. And for me, that's so important. Like, that is one of the most important things to me, is to be me now and like in real life and on Instagram. Does that make any sense? I don't even know. But some people, for anyone who doesn't know, anyone who is following influencers on social media and doesn't know these kind of things, for anyone who doesn't know, there are people that post on Instagram beautiful outfits and they wear all these amazing, lavish outfits, but they're sending them back, they're returning them, or they're getting these things gifted and then they're wearing something else at home. And believe you me, a lot of people do it. They're not the type of people that I can quite understand, to be honest. I don't see the point in it. We live in a day and age now where, like, wear things you actually own and not wear things that, don't go out and buy stuff and send it back. Like, why is that? It's just like not good for, the world, let's face it. So there's people that do that. There's also people that will create content acting like that is their life. I've known before people having designer, like borrowing other people's designer handbags and like using them to the point where they act like they're actually theirs and they bought that bag when they didn't. There's a lot of people like that. And I just think if you're someone who gets triggered by these things, or you don't like the way someone's acting, or you feel like, I want to live that life, genuinely just don't follow them. I am such a strong believer that you should follow people that you love, that you gel with, that you feel like you could be friends with. There are some people, like I might sit here right now and be like, oh my God, that person creates loads of content, like it's so overwhelming. But the next person who doesn't do content, who doesn't do Instagram as a job, might be like, I love all the content that person creates. I love how minimal this person is. I love how bright this person is. And that is all you need to think about when it comes to social media. The people you're following are the people that you should be inspired by, that from home or in real life. People that give you that good sense of feeling, that make you feel good, that make you feel like, yeah, I like social media. If you're following someone and they are making you feel like, I don't like this, or I don't feel great, I would recommend that you either mute them, unfollow them, or block them. Yeah, those are the three things. So if you're not vibing with someone, if someone's not making you feel good on social media, mute, block, or unfollow them. They are there for a reason. Use them, and use them as much as you want to use them. Sometimes people get on your nerves. Sometimes what someone is producing is just too much for you right now. Mute them. I've done it before. I do it all the time. I think sometimes you need it for your own mental health. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with muting someone if it's affecting how you are feeling, because it could be something really minimal, like someone's talking about something and they're banging on about it constantly, and you're like, I really have had enough of this. It's really not. I really don't want to keep seeing this. Just mute them. You can come back to it maybe in a month, like a few weeks' time, and be like, okay, I'm ready to unmute them now. Same goes for if someone's, posting tons and tons of content and it's making you feel really, really shit about your life. You don't feel like you're getting anywhere. You feel really down about it. Mute them. It's nothing to do with like them as a person and what they're doing. Sometimes you just need it for your own self-well-being. I have done it before where I've just seen people posting a lot and I'm like, this isn't making me feel good, and it's not anything to do with them and what they're creating. It's just sometimes an influx of content, an influx of one thing, an influx of, I'm having a great time, oh my God, this is great, can be really, really, really like intense. And it can make you feel a bit shit. Maybe you're going through a friendship breakup. Maybe you're dealing with like a situation. Maybe things are just triggering you a little bit. Honestly, mute them. And if someone is making you feel, if you're getting toxic energy from someone, block. Absolutely block. Do not follow people that make you feel shit about yourself, don't do it. If someone is complaining or is negative constantly, maybe on their stories or whatever, block, remove. You want to be following people that genuinely make you feel good, people you're inspired by, people you like the content of. There's people I follow that I wouldn't wear anything they're wearing, but I absolutely love their content and I love the type of person they are, and I've met them and I know that they're a great person. So I follow them and I interact with their content and I love seeing their content. Same goes for anyone you know, even if it's just family, friends, people from school, whatnot. If someone from those realms of life are on their stories complaining, whatever, just mute them. Like, I think it's quite a strong statement to unfollow someone and block them sometimes. So a mute button, and the mute is so good because you can just, they will never know they're muted, and that is the main thing. No one ever knows if they're muted. I could be muted from someone, I wouldn't know. And it's quite nice because that way you're not unfollowing them. You're not saying that you don't like them. You're not saying that you're not interested in them. You're not saying you don't want them out of your life. Just sometimes you need to hit pause. You need to hit pause on whatever they're sharing because it can be a lot. And let's face it, a lot of influencers do just share a life that isn't their life. And it's something you should always remember, is that just because someone is posting something on social media doesn't mean to say that is their life. I think anyone listening or anyone watching will know from this area that I'm sat in that this is my flat. This is where I live. This isn't fake. This isn't a joke. Like, I'm here. My pillows are squashed. It's been the same this whole time. I've not changed it up. I'm sat on the same bit of floor. This rug is like matted from where I've sat on the floor every single time. I sit here all the time anyway. This is all real. Like, I wouldn't fake this. I wouldn't, I think it is hard also with social media that if you're someone who creates content and you don't live in an aesthetic home, it can be really difficult to create content at home. Therefore, you won't create content at home, and therefore you're not necessarily going to share where you live and whatnot. So there is an extent to it, but some people do show a very lavish life, or like they're having a great time and there's a lot going on behind closed doors, or maybe someone helped them do that certain thing or helped them get to where they are. Do you know what I mean? I just think, or maybe they've got really rich because of their husband, or because of the boy they're dating, or maybe they're living in their boyfriend's house because it's more nicer than theirs, or whatever. There's endless amounts of reasons and things. But all I can say is that don't necessarily believe everything that people are sharing, because it's not real life. Instagram is a highlight reel. Everything we share are the highlights. I share highlights, you share highlights. We all only share the highlights. So remember that when you see someone's content and you think, oh my God, they're having a great time. Remember, they might be feeling anxious. They might be feeling really sad. They might be going through something at home and they're not talking about it. They might be dealing with a lot of other stuff, but they're there in that moment and they look really, really happy. Anyone can show they're happy. Believe you me, I have done it. Before, where I've just shown that I'm happy. And I am such a firm believer that I won't share something if I know deep down that something felt off in that moment. I've recorded videos before, vlogs and whatnot, and not shared them because for me it doesn't show a true representation of how I actually felt on that trip or how I actually felt in that moment. So I won't share it because I don't think that I can sit there and share a fake life. I think it's wrong. I just couldn't do it. I don't want people to think that I went on something or went somewhere or did something and I'm showing it to be happy and great, but actually I felt shit the whole time. I didn't feel confident. I was upset. I was sad, whatever. I'm not going to share that because I know deep down. And even if it does good and even if it does great and even if it's just part of life, I'm not sharing it because I don't want to sit there and put forward a fake life, and I never would. Nothing you see from me is fake. The only thing you'd ever see is like, I don't know, if I go out and shoot content all in one day and I've got, I've shot a few different outfits in one day, but that's just how Instagram and this content creation world works. It's not easy to go and shoot one picture every single day. I don't have the people. I live alone. I don't have someone to come with me every single day and take a picture of my outfit. So that is just the way that works. But that I wouldn't say that was fake. All the outfits are outfits I wear. They're not things that I've just bought for the sake of a photo. Obviously, Instagram's changed a lot. I know I'm heavily going on Instagram because that's the main thing I think we all think about. It's changed a lot. There was a very big period of time where it was all about just like buying things and sending them back. And I think now that the world has changed and a lot more people are into like vintage things and thrifting and things like that, and we're all a little bit more self-aware of what we're buying, I think it has changed a lot in that sense. So there's less of that like buy all these things, buy, and it's more about like, this is how you wear it. Buy something, but this is how you wear it. I think that's where it's going, and that's something I really love. And one thing I absolutely love about Instagram now is that it's going more towards the daily life kind of vibe, what you're up to every single day, sharing things, being more natural, being more everyday, back to how Instagram was originally, where it was just about posting whatever you were doing. And obviously I don't think it'll ever go away from that idea of like posting content and sharing content and doing all those things, but I do love the fact that it's becoming a bit more normal to just post a picture of whatever you did that day and sharing it, and not being like, oh, look at my life and this is me in a pretty dress and in this pretty location, because that isn't true life. And that there's nothing wrong with that, and I think that's important to know. There's nothing wrong with doing whatever you're doing on social media. What is important is that you don't necessarily believe everything you see, and if something is bothering you, just mute them and get rid of them, because I even get it, right? I am in a situation where I'm very, very lucky. I'm incredibly lucky to be where I am, to get where I am. Like, I'm so incredibly grateful. Like, I can't even express to you. Even getting like messages from you guys saying, like, I love your podcast. Like, this is amazing. It's mind blowing to me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? And when did I get to that point? Like, it's mad. Like, even for me, as someone who does this, I struggle to see some people's content, and I am at a point where I'm so lucky, and I get to do this whole thing, and I get to live this life, and I know that a lot of people couldn't do this. I have worked quite hard to get here, and something I always say, and I think is important to say, is that I'm 28. I only got to the point where I could live alone at 27. Yes, that's still young, and I'm very aware of that. But there's a lot of people that are younger that believe that they should be a certain place by 22 and they should be buying a house and they should be living alone. No, I didn't even live away from my home. I mean, I went to uni, but I didn't move out after uni until I was 24, almost 25. And this has been something I have built upon, saved a lot of money to the point where I could like afford to live this life. And I am grateful for that. But I would never expect anyone who's following me and whatnot to be able to do this, because it's not normal. It's not a normal thing. Most people at my age are sharing flats and sharing houses, and I would do that if I knew someone to share it with. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I'm very, very aware that anything I share is not everyone is able to do and able to live. So I don't sit there and go on about it and talk about it, because I don't want people to be like, yeah, we know you live in a nice flat on your own. I mean, I do mention it a lot, but like in context. But yeah, I feel like I just rambled there. I'm really sorry, that just came out like word vomit. But it's weird. I think recently, the reason why I really wanted to talk about this was because I have been seeing people's content when they go away with other influencers, and they produce so much content that I genuinely I feel overwhelmed, I feel worried, I feel like I'm not good enough, and I dip into that. And it's not only me, I've spoken to some of my friends and they feel the same. I dip into this like, oh my god, I'm not doing enough, I'm not creating enough, I'm going away and I'm not creating the content I should be creating, I should be doing more. How am I going to get better if I don't do more? And actually, it's not about that. It's about doing what suits you and you as a person. Every single person out there is different, and how you create content and how you do things is down to you, and what you share and what you like to share and how you show off your life is down to you. I am always someone who will be open and honest if I've been through something or I'm going through something. When I stopped seeing a guy a couple months ago, almost. I just openly put on my story, I'm feeling really down. I'm not feeling great. Like, the universe has done something to me and I feel a bit rubbish. I didn't say what it was. I didn't say, I'm going through this, that, and the other. I just wanted everyone to know that I am going through it too. And it's always something that I like to share, because I want people to know that I also go through these things, which is why I like to share it. And I think it's important to share it. Not every person. Some people just don't say anything. And that is okay. You don't have to say anything. But I like people to understand that I am also just like you. I just share, a lot of stuff on social media and pretty pictures and all those kind of things. So I am one of those people too. I even showed at one point last year a video of me crying. Now, before you think, oh, why did you film yourself crying? Because I know I never even think to take a picture of myself crying. Some people take pictures of themselves crying all the time, and I just never think to do that. But anyway, not the point. I was going through a tough time, right? Actually, around this time last year, maybe a bit after. And I was really, really sad, but I knew it was going to get better. I was so sad. I was like, there's a video of me sat on this very sofa, of me like crying, like just so sad about the situation I was going through. And I'm really excited. I think when it's been a year, I want to do like a little like stitch it and be like, I'm feeling really good now. But I wanted to share that, to show people that you're not the only one going through it, and that is something that's really, really important. Social media is a highlight reel, and always remember that, because we all go through things, we all deal with things, we all have things that we keep inside. There's so much that I could talk about my like younger life with my anxiety, the things I've gone through, but that's not something I'm ready yet to share. So, because it makes me sad. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. No, I'm fine. Because it makes me sad, and it's just something that I am still working on. I'm still dealing with. I'm still trying to get to terms with sharing that, because me sharing my anxiety story is something I really, really want to do. Like, I really, really want to do it. I really want to share what I went through as a young child, and with my anxiety, I actually see my life as being pretty good, but I actually have been through things that I want to share, but I haven't got to the point where I feel like I can share that yet, because that's not something I want to do. But I believe you me, I've been through it. So just remember that what you see on social media isn't necessarily what is actually going on. People deal with things behind closed doors and don't share them. So just take what you see as face value and not actually their life. I am very much someone who likes to just enjoy things for what they are, rather than deeping everything. But sometimes, overthinking can get in your head, and before you know it, you're spiraling and you're like, why am I not living that kind of life? Do you know what I mean? But life is good. Just remember, it's a face value thing. It's just on a screen. You can't see actually what's going on behind that person's like Instagram, TikTok. You don't know. Although on TikTok, I would say a lot more people are more natural, so you get to see a little bit more of how people act. It's less fake, I would say. But then who knows? Who actually knows? But remember, social media is a highlight reel, and don't believe it all. You probably don't necessarily believe everything you see on my social media, even though I try to be as transparent and whatnot as possible, because I think it's important too. But you've still got time to mute those people that you want to mute. You've still got time to get rid of anyone that you don't like the content of, anyone who's making you feel toxic or negative, get rid. Your social media, your platforms should be only things you love watching and listening to and being inspired by. Curate it to what you want. Don't feel like you should have to follow people just for the sake of it, or don't feel bad for unfollowing someone if they're making you feel shit. Like, get rid of them. Curate it to something that makes you feel happy, content, wholesome, loved, amazing. That is what your Instagram and your social media should be. Just a nice place to go where you can get inspired and see what people are up to, and just get rid of all the people you don't want. You've still got time to get rid of them. Do it now. I hope this inspired you. Do it now. Just do it now. But yeah, anyway, I hope it's been interesting. I feel like I've just rambled about my thoughts on it, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys don't think that, you know, social media is exactly how it is, because it's not. And the reality is people do a lot, but have a lot going on behind closed doors. So yeah, anyway, I am actually going to love you and leave you now, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to drop me a message on the Still Got Time podcast Instagram. Always there to have a chat. I've had some lovely messages recently, and I'm honestly so grateful for them. They warm my heart every time I get a message, and it's so nice to see like a wide range of people as well, from male, female, you know, young, old, whatever. I'm always here to chat, listen. If you have a podcast topic you'd like me to talk about, send it my way. You can also follow me on my Instagram, which is I am Charlotte Olivia, and make sure you follow the TikTok too, because there's lots of clips going out there as well, which is Still Got Time podcast on TikTok. Go check that out, and you can watch on YouTube if you're a podcast watcher like me. It's on YouTube too. Anyway, love you all, and I will see you all in next week's episode. Bye.